Hi friends, it's Kim, and I wanted to talk with you today about something that's been sitting pretty heavily on my heart, but I want to share some tips that have helped me stay grounded in the midst of it all. So let's talk about it. Recently, I had the opportunity to hear Eckhart Tolle speak in person. And if you're not familiar with him, Eckhart is a spiritual teacher, and he is the author of The Power of Now and A New Earth. And his teachings center around presence and being fully in the moment and learning to live from a deeper awareness rather than from fear and ego or reaction. And in this moment where so many are feeling overwhelmed and afraid and unsure, I felt called to share what I've learned and how I'm using it to stay grounded. So since the return of the current administration, there's been a noticeable shift in energy in the country. And I'm not talking about politics in the abstract. I'm talking about the real impact this has on people's lives. People are afraid, and not hypothetically, deeply afraid, especially those in the LGBTQ plus community, people of color, women, immigrants, families who've already experienced loss or injustice. And doctors and scientists and teachers and journalists and healthcare workers, even artists, are navigating fear and censorship. Or they're being told that their work and their truth and their identity isn't valid anymore. And meanwhile, there's an overwhelming sense of instability, economically and socially and even spiritually. And it's a lot. Um, and many of us, whether directly impacted or standing in solidarity, are feeling anxious and triggered and just unsure how to help. And I want to be clear, this video is not saying just meditate and it'll all be fine. It's saying that your fear is valid, but fear doesn't get to be your guide. Presence does. And how does presence make a difference? Well, it gives us a way to show up from a place of calm steadiness rather than fear or anger. And it does not make us passive, but it helps us respond rather than react. And, presence isn't about pretending that, everything is okay. And it is absolutely not about toxic positivity. And it's definitely not about ignoring what's wrong or what's happening. Presence is about being here now. It is choosing to bring your full awareness to this moment, each moment, no matter how uncomfortable or uncertain it may be. Challenge, as Eckhart would say, is not to let that fear pull us out of the present moment. And because when we're disconnected from right now, we lose our power, we start reacting from old patterns, and we start fighting with shadows instead of choosing how to show up consciously. And one of the biggest lessons that I've taken from Eckhart's work is the idea of conscious choice, and that even in chaos, we can choose how we meet the moment. And this is not always easy. And I'm definitely still learning, and I'm working really hard. And moments of anxiety will arise. And I have to try very hard to recognize the anxious feelings and thoughts that I'm having and acknowledge them and let them wash over me. But what I'm learning is that I can acknowledge those anxious feelings, and then I can come back to presence. And we can address injustice and we can speak truth, but we can do it from clarity and not from rage. And, we can advocate and we can act, but from stillness, not panic. And we can recognize that not everyone is operating at the same level of awareness. They just aren't. And that doesn't mean we excuse harmful behavior. It does, it does help us stop personalizing every interaction, though. And it helps us step back and say, I don't have to join them there. And, lately I've been practicing something simple, but it's really been profound for me. Before I write or comment or I speak, I pause and I ask, am I present or am I triggered? And that one question has changed everything. Because if I can respond from presence and from groundedness, I have a much better chance of contributing something useful and something healing and something true. So how do we practice presence today, right now? Well, if you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, try this. So stop what you're doing, maybe pause here, or after the video is over in a couple of minutes, give it a try. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. And to calm your nervous system with deep breathing, you're going to try taking what's referred to as 4, 7, 8 breaths. And this involves inhaling for 4 seconds, holding your breath for 7 seconds, and then exhaling slowly for 8 seconds. And you might do that 5 or 10 times or as long as you need to. But this technique can help regulate your nervous system and it can promote relaxation. And notice when you feel, when you're practicing this, name it. Don't just push it away. Notice it, because that alone is presence. It's the awareness of this moment, and life happens in this moment. So if you're struggling right now, I understand. And, so many people are walking through some really deep uncertainty. And whether it's about rights or security or finances or health or simply the state of the world, but you're not powerless. You still have your breath, you have your awareness, and you have your ability to choose your energy. So you can choose to be a steadier place in a constantly shifting world. And that doesn't mean denying what's happening. It means not letting it steal your peace. So today I'm sending love to everyone who feels frightened. I hope this video brought you even one moment of peace. And, if it did, I'd love for you to share how you practice staying present when things feel overwhelming. And, if you'd like, please add it to the comments, because I know I'd love to hear, and so would anyone who may be watching. And if you'd like some mindfulness journal prompts or a gentle checklist to help stay grounded every day, I've created a PDF, downloadable PDF, and I've linked it in the description. It's free, of course, and maybe it'll help with some tips. So let's keep showing up with clarity and with compassion and with consciousness. Thanks for being here.